We all know her as, or we also know her as Professor Sabrina Wang, who is the Dean of International College at National Kaohsiung University of Hospitality and Tourism. Professor Sabrina's presentation will look at how a crop is used in a way that differs from its original purpose as a trade commodity to help boost domestic tourism. Her presentation is on sustainable outcomes for coffee tourism in Taiwan. This should be interesting, especially for the coffee drinkers. And she has been collaborating with Taiwanese coffee experts to fuse coffee-related teaching into an integrated certification system to improve the quality of beverage educations. And she also holds professional certificate on Specialty Coffee Association in addition to her other enormous certificates. So Professor Sabrina, the next 15 minutes is yours.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen first. I cannot share my screen, sorry. So I don't know, okay. Or the technician can help me share my screen because there's only recording.
Okay.
So I hope you can see my PPT slide, but I cannot share. Yes, so now can you?
Can you try again?
Yes, let me try again. Yeah, but it didn't work.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah, so can you just share my screen so I can show you my PPT slides? So I would like, yes. So now can you see my PPT slides?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I will start my presentation. Okay, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the organizers for inviting me to share my experiences, Dr. Harrington. Yeah, and first minutes allow me to have some commercial for Taiwan. Just 1 minute.
I want to see and to believe. I want laughter and time to hold on to the right place. I want us to get on. I think. I know. It's time for Taiwan.
Yeah, although it's filmed 10 years ago, but this 1 minute, I think you can like have a feeling about how Taiwan is like. Okay, today I mainly share with you my 2 studies on coffee tourism, and one is before the outbreak of COVID-19 and one is like after. Okay, so as everybody can see that nations have been facing economic recession, lockdowns, travel restrictions, and unemployment across the world. And the tourism industry is also challenged with the urgency to and these data are based on the year 2020. But of course now, especially these recent weeks in Taiwan, they are increasing cases. So we are like facing another challenge. So the
sorry,
impact,
Professor Wang,
yes.
sorry. It seems that I will share the screen. You just let me know when to change the slides.
Sorry, once, yeah,
just
you are sharing the screen, so everybody can see my screen now.
It's me who is sharing your screen. So I'm controlling the screen. So just let me know when you want to change slide. Just say next. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See your points. Okay. So okay. Yeah. Okay, so could I adjust it a little bit because I cannot read the slide. It's very small in my screen.
Okay.
Yes, can you enlarge the screen?
This is already large.
Okay, so yeah, okay, in this case, I can like, okay. Okay, so I'll just let you know, right? You
Yes.
mean if I want to move to the next slide? Okay, so this problem, I mean, the COVID-19 sluggish, the value and supply chains of the agricultural countries, I think not only in Taiwan, for Taiwan, okay, because the restrictions also on imports and mobility. And then less demand in world markets, okay, because of government's restriction on public and the gatherings. I think not only in East Africa, I think in many parts of the world. And the prices of coffee fluctuated and become volatile. Okay, and I think many of these are results from the labor shortage because people cannot go out, right? So they cannot really pick up the harvest. Okay, so the first study is conducted with my colleagues in the year 2019. That's right before the outbreak of the pandemic. So the title is The Right Brew, an analysis of the tourism experiences in rural Taiwan's coffee estates. Okay, so if you are interested, it's published in Tourism Management Perspectives. I think we provide some information here. And in this study, we adopted mixed methods. So we interviewed the coffee owners and also we have a questionnaire for the visitors. So the first one is the interview with the estate owners. We interviewed 6. Okay, and after the interview, we analyzed the protocols and then we classified Taiwan's coffee estates into 3 categories: traditional, educational, and comprehensive coffee estates. Okay, so for traditional coffee estates, they mainly focus on coffee plantation. So if you go there, they may brew certain kind of coffee for you to have a try, and then you pick up, you buy the one that you like. That's mainly the purpose you visit their coffee estate. But for the educational one, they have well-planned activities. They even provide courses. So if you went there in the coffee harvest season, they will take you to the farm. You can pick up the coffee cherries, and then you can come back to their house. You can participate in the processing process and also roast some coffee beans by yourself. Okay, and after that, you have the coffee that you roasted by yourself. So all of these kind of experiences make the tourists very impressed, involved. Okay, and the other one is comprehensive. They even provide accommodations, which means that you can stay there even for longer times. So you not only experience some coffee activities, you may just have a short trip to the nearby spots. Okay, so we classified into 3 categories. And then for our quantitative studies, oh, not yet. Okay. Yes, we collect from 295 visitors. Okay, so from their point of view, so we found there are overwhelming positive results about the tourist experience to coffee farms. And we found significant mean differences between educational and non-educational coffee estate visitors. So as I may teach also students something like that, show me, I may not remember, tell me, I may not understand, but involve me, I shall learn. I think this also applied to this the coffee trips. Okay, so because they are involved in the, and many of them even say that now I'm more willing to pay for a cup of coffee, of a specialty coffee, because in the past, if you want me to pay $3 to $5 US dollars for a cup of coffee, I think it's very expensive. But after I've been there, I know how the complicated processing. Okay, so now I know how much a cup of coffee could worth. Okay, next please. Yes, and the second is the case study. Is the case study on Zhou Garden is one of the 6 coffee estates we interviewed. And as you can see from this map, the Jiayi County is where Zhou Garden located. And near this is the perfect, we call coffee belt. Very good weather for coffee plantation. That's why after a very difficult earthquake in the year 1999, okay, after that, the government has a very focus on coffee plantation. Okay, so that's why we choose this as our second study. And this is after the outbreak. Okay, and as you can see from the middle part, this is Fang Zhengluan, Zhou Garden's owner. If you are interested, could you click for, yes, the paper is published in the year 2021. I work with my students, and the first one, the previous one is the right brew, and now we have the title like a better brew. Okay, so it's like a continuous studies. As in this paper, you can see the background of this coffee owner, how he turned the originally Ali Mountain in Taiwan in decades ago is famous for tea plantation or orchids. Okay, and when he returned to his hometown, he started to transform the whole farm into a coffee estate, and then he won a lot of competitions, and then kind of promotes their own Zhou Garden. Okay, so and this time we adopted another RICHIS 2004 framework for crisis management. Okay, next please. Yes, and we found that the problem after the outbreak of the coffee estate is that the tourists are fear of the infection and the transmission, okay, because of the virus. So less and less visitors visits their coffee estate. And again, similar problem is the sluggish performance from similar industries, for example, public transportation. Okay, so visitors have difficulty to visit their farm, not only because of the fear of the virus, and then logistical problem and operational failure. Okay, all this just make they cannot really like I say sourcing raw coffee beans. They even have some difficulty to deliver the finished products. Okay, so the paralyzed supply chain network make this very difficult. Yes, so to be honest, they told me that they don't really think about what's the so-called crisis management strategies. Okay, so when the outbreak of this COVID-19, they just can only based on their previous, see that no formalized plan, crisis plans. Okay, no standard procedures, so they can only based on their previous knowledge and experiences. Okay, so before they don't have this, but now they face it. So emergency and the intermediate stage, they think they mainly follow 2 stakeholders, the government and the media. I think when it the pandemic starts in 2020, I think our government made a very quick decisions of what we should do, and they through the media we can follow. So we are quite successful this year. We don't really have any lockdown, so they follow the government and the media, but now they do learn from these experiences. So Fang Zhengluan told us that they really discuss with the nearby coffee estates, share experiences, so they mix their previous now, then what we learn from this pandemic, but still, maybe they cannot present you with a very concrete or sound plan, but they are still doing it now. Okay, so next, please. Yeah, so from these 2 papers, we can see that there are 2 parts of conclusion. It's from the managerial, and for public sectors, we have several recommendations, like we could improve the marketing and branding by government-run destination management organizations. We thought that it must be like the central government level. Okay, that's powerful enough. And then we can have an integrated tourism supply system and the value chain in areas containing coffee estates, because not only these 6 coffee estates included in our study, there are, I think, more than 20 to 30 coffee estates. So how to apply the result to other area and then develop an integrated tourism supply system. And we can, the third one is we can create new coffee tour products with travel agencies and the tour operators. This is for coffee, but I just in the private talk with Anna, we can apply the same ideas to other areas, not only coffee, okay? And finally, it's establishing education as the key selling points of coffee estates, okay? So I think this is what we can do, okay? And for the crisis management, this, as I just say that maybe there's no concrete or no sounds plan now, but they learn from the previous experiences. So now they know how to decisively enforce health protocols, okay, and minimize the risk perception of the petrols coming to physical stores, and they promote more online checks of the coffee beans. So you don't need to go there, but you still can get the coffee, okay? And then strengthen coffee tours by shifting to domestic and the local tourists, okay? And that's all for my sharing now. Yes, so Arsiana, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sabrina Wang. For those of you participants who would like to ask Professor Sabrina questions, you can write down in the chat room, but due to time limitations, I will not take any questions right now, but the organizing committee, the Zoom admin, will take notes of the questions, and they will send it to Professor Sabrina's and Madam Sarzit's email, and they will return to you with the answers. Okay, proceeding, our second speaker is Sarzit Datu Haji Saleh Asgor, the Chief Executive Officer of Sarawak Tourism Board since September 2018 until now. Leading the Sarawak Tourism Board with dynamic goals in mind, Madam Sarzit believes that tourism is an inclusive industry and that everyone has a role to play. According to her, the focus of niche marketing and responsible tourism is the way forward. With responsible tourism, the 3 focal points are to ensure that the state's tourism industry looks into responsible actions, from contributing to the local economy, empowering local communities, and also having responsible environmental practices. And she will explain this more in her talks on domestic and responsible tourism. So, Madam Sarzit, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor. Dr. Arsiana. First and foremost, I would like to say I'm very honored to be invited to be one of the speakers here. I will try my best to manage the time. I know we are short of time, and we'll see how it goes. I've been asked to speak on domestic tourism in Sarawak, okay, and specifically, I will go also micro on what Sarawak Tourism Board is doing in terms of responsible tourism. So you all can see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start my presentation. For those, just in case I can't take for granted that everybody knows where Sarawak is, let me do a little bit of introduction of where Sarawak is, yeah? Next. So, Sarawak is a land of hornbills. It is known for it, and you know, if you can see lush greens and beautiful, that's not what you call this. That's a beautiful lush green of rainforest, 140 million year old rainforest. Yeah. Next. So basically, just to put on the global map, you will know where Malaysia and Sarawak is. The red color shows you where Sarawak and or Malaysia is. Yeah. Next. Closely, you will see that Sarawak is part and parcel of Malaysia. We are in the east. We are the East Malaysian side of Malaysia. Yeah. So the land of hornbills is one of the 13 states of Malaysia. And of course, you know, it is in Southeast Asia. You will also notice, next, that it is part of the island of Borneo. And as you know, Borneo is the third largest island in the world and the largest in Asia. And as for those who love summer, then Sarawak offers summer all year round with 2 monsoon seasons, you know, between November and February, the northeast monsoon, and southwest monsoon between March to October, where there is less rainfall. You also will know that, can you remain the first? You will also know that Sarawak is the largest state in Malaysia, which is almost equal to the West Malaysian Peninsula, yeah? And it is divided in 12 divisions with a population of 2.8 million, which is even less than the total population of 32 million of the whole of Malaysia. It is obviously separated by the South China Sea. And if you can see, we are in the island of Borneo. It is with the country of Brunei, the Sultanate of Brunei, as well as Kalimantan. Okay, next. I would like to share with you the topography of Sarawak. Yeah, if you can see the beautiful topography of Sarawak, it is really divided into 3 regions, which is the coastal lowland, the hilly terrain, and the mountain highlands. In this, you will see the coastal lowland, which will be comprising of swamps, beaches, and river delta. I just would like to show with you and a little bit explain to you that Bako National Park. Yeah, so Bako National Park is the oldest national park, which offers perfect introduction to Sarawak's forests and wildlife. One can find a range of vegetations from swamp forests to mangrove forests to cliff vegetation. And you can be surprised to see that you can see many proboscis monkeys, long-tailed macaques, silver-leaf monkeys, and you can also find 190 species of birds and wild boar. So you can imagine the nature that brings very near to you when you go to these places. And you will also note that the Batang Rajang is Malaysia's longest river, is in Sarawak also. Next. The second one is that it is also a hilly terrain, yeah, where the inhabitants will be around this hilly terrain where most of the cities and towns are located. And much of the life has grown from the major river system. From top, you can see Kuching City. That river is what we call the Sarawak River. Kuching is the southern gateway. Miri is the northern gateway, and that river is the Baung River. And of course, the southern, the central gateway is Sibu, and that's the Rajang River. And it is still the major gateway to the rural hinterland. And as you can see, the wonderful hills and all, and that's the kind of nature that you can find in Sarawak. Next. The mountain highlands is also very, very prominent in Sarawak, and that stretches along the Sarawak-Kalimantan border. Mountain Api, the pinnacles, what is commonly known, is the striking limestone karst formation, and that is in Mulu National Park, which is a Sarawak UNESCO Heritage Site. You can see the beautiful green, the paddy leaves, and the fresh air if you are at Borneo Highlands Resort. And this is a common site in Sarawak. Barrio Highland, those who have heard about it, is known for its Barrio rice and its Barrio pineapple. We also would like to share with you that Barrio is inhabited by the Kelabit community. And I would like to share with you that, going to these places, you can feel how fresh it is, and the green lungs is definitely affecting it. So before I go deeper into the domestic tourism, this is the kind of, I call it God's gift, where Sarawak is very, has abundance of it. And this is part and parcel of how we are leveraging and harnessing this nature. I would like to share with you 1 minute of a video with all of you out there. Okay, so that's just 60 seconds of how what Sarawak has to offer. Yeah. So what's the uniqueness of Sarawak? In Sarawak Tourism Board, we have 5 pillars that we would like to, where we promote the destination in itself. And the acronym is CANFF, Culture, Adventure, Nature, Food, and Festival. All these years in the past, before 2018, culture, adventure, nature has been the focus of Sarawak tourism. However, in 2018 onwards, we had rebrand Sarawak tourism, and we had add on food and festival. Why? Yeah, I would think that for those who do not know, we in Sarawak have 27 ethnic groups. That is the rich and beautiful culture of Sarawak. Imagine 27 ethnic group with 45 dialects. Imagine the numbers of arts, the work, the music, and all. Imagine also adventure. I've just showed to you just now a glimpse of what you can do with an adventure as part of your product. Nature, without a doubt, like I said just now, with all the topography I mentioned, we have that natural nature that we can offer to all visitors to Sarawak. So the 2 new additional elements will be food and festival. I like to say that, the late Anthony Bourdain had labeled our Sarawak laksa as breakfast of gods, and he claimed that these are foods served in heaven. So you can imagine what it is. And if you do come and visit Sarawak, there are many multiple variety kind of food from all ethnic groups. It's just up to you to see whether you're adventurous or not. Why festival? We believe with all the number of groups and culture that we have, many festivals are very unique to this. Each ethnic groups are shared, throughout the year. So before the COVID, we had slightly over 100 activities, organized throughout the year, and that makes it a colorful products for Sarawak. So the 5 pillars of Sarawak Tourism Board that we go out when we do promoting and marketing the destination, very much focus on culture, adventure, nature, food, and festivals. Next. So, let's look into the numbers pre-COVID and during this time, okay? Definitely, I think all of us have heard, I think throughout this morning, talks and presentation, we have been affected drastically in this domestic as well, in this, what do you call this, tourism sectors, yeah? You can see in 2017, yeah, the numbers from domestic tourism was 45.65%. It grew to 52.31%. And in 2019, yeah, that's when we start rebranding and all the Sarawak elements, we have managed to increase the domestic tourism to 55%, 55.3%, yeah. And at that time, our arrivals, total arrivals in Sarawak in 2019 was 4.6 million. Compare that figures now to, Sham, move that, to 2020, yeah. In 2020, of course, the numbers of domestic tourism looks high at 69.72%. However, the numbers has dropped tremendously. In 2019, it was 4.6 million, whereas in 2020, the numbers was only 1.1 million. And with that 1.1 million, 836,000 plus were domestic visitors. Basically, because I think it's understood that because of the borders closing, the fear factor of traveling, and every state and every country has its own regulation and quarantine, that has definitely affected the numbers of visitors' arrivals. So, next please. So what do we do in Sarawak Tourism Board? Yeah, if you can look at it, there are three R strategy is what we do. The first phase is what we call the rebuilding and relief. The second phase is what we call recovery collaboration. And the third R strategy is redialing. And all the strategies that we are applying and the approach is basically emphasizing on responsible tourism. I will go with you one by one. What are the things that we do in Sarawak Tourism Board? Because I've been requested to know, to share with you exactly what Sarawak Tourism Board is doing in terms of COVID and all. So just to share with you, the role of Sarawak Tourism Board core function is basically to look into the marketing and promotion of the destination. So next, please. So when it comes to rebuilding and relief, this is a time when we had our lockdown in March and we had to work from home. A lot of adjustment needs to be done, a lot of reworking, re-strategizing, and making sure, most importantly, making plans of how to rebuild the confidence, how to provide relief to our stakeholders and industry players. This is the hardest time, and there was no definite timeline when this is going to be cleared and so forth. So everybody was just groping at night and trying to make sure that we adjust. And I think, I believe confidence will be one of the first things that we should handle and we should take care. So during this period, what we did was that we ensured that we have, through our Sarawak product experience, we expose new and potential new products. We look into what are the new products that we can offer once to the domestic market as well as to the international market. So we work with several stakeholders, getting firsthand various information on products, how to harness it, how to enhance it, how to leverage it, and then bring it up and make it as part of a new product. The other thing here under this phase also is ensuring and giving confidence to our players through our Sarawak Tourism Online Ecosystem Fund. And that is very important. When things goes down, you would want to make sure that that's the time you need to make sure your ecosystem are rebuilt and you ensure that it has a better ecosystem. So what we did was that we introduced, we know for sure that from that point onward, digital is the way forward. And we therefore took this opportunity and to introduce to our players how important it is to understand that they have to be familiar with digital, and we hope that this period will be able to improve the digital footprint amongst the tourism industry players. So we provide seed money for them to either develop website, improve their content, improve their SEOs and so forth. And that is open to majority, from hotels to homestays to retailers, that is, to tour operators and all. And this Sarawak Tourism Online Ecosystem has now gone into its second version already, and the number and the benefiters are bigger now. Therefore, we feel that by improving our online ecosystem, the industry members will improve and enhance their operation to be more competitive once the borders are open. Next, please. The second phase is about recovery collaboration. We are here, Sarawak Tourism Board, under the under Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. We are here to ensure that we collaborate with our industry players. What we did is that we collaborate with the association, like the Sarawak Tourism Federation, like the Malaysian Association. And what we did was we had campaign just for the intrastate that benefits Sarawakians and the Sarawak residents. And these two campaign has been very successful. The Siasito Sarawak accommodation will actually be launching just around next week, basically because it had to be postponed and rescheduled due to the increase in the numbers of COVID cases. Hence, we still proceed with it and remind our players with regards to the standard operating procedures to abide on all the social distancing and so forth. What is the most important here? I wouldn't want to call it subsidy. We call it incentivize. Incentivize our stakeholders, and where we provide 50% subsidy or incentive to the players, where then the visitors will enjoy at a very tremendous lower and affordable price during these hard, difficult times. The other collaboration that we did very well, and this is a time we say that we need to build a community where we'll do community for what they call this as ambassadors. So we work with Grab, for example, Grab Academy, provide them with all the knowledge, the training of Sarawak product. Last but not least, I'm looking at my time, I'm running out of time here. We have the Sarawak Partnership Collaboration Fund, and that helps players out there, or whatever they do, that is tourism related. We in Sarawak Tourism Board will be helping and assisting them to ensure the things goes on, and hopefully, that will help them to sustain their business. Next, please. The last phase is what I call redialing phase. Okay, this is when the borders open and things are not even back to normal, but visitors start climbing. We have this all in plan already from the Intra-state campaign, what we call Sarawak Escape, from the visitors incentive package, where we ensure we incentivize and make sure our players bring in outsiders, other than Sarawakians, to come to Sarawak with incentive. And we will be working with our homegrown airlines to have joint campaign. And these are all in a pipeline, just waiting for the borders to open. So these are some of the things that we are doing with the 3R strategy that will help and to assist our stakeholders during this difficult, unprecedented period. Next, please. 2
minutes more, Madam Sajid.
Okay, so my God, I have a lot more to go, but I will go like a express train now. So I just want to touch base here to say that the state of Sarawak is very much into this green agenda thing, yeah? And we have a plan up until 2030 where we need to focus when it comes to responsible tourism, where we look into sustainability and all. You can see we go into totally protected area. We have a Heart of Borneo program and agreement where the trans-border agreement within Kalimantan and Brunei and Sarawak has agreed to look into conservation. We make sure we even have a Kuching e-bus service provided to our staff, to our community and our citizens. Next, please. So quickly, responsible tourism, what it is all about. Can we have the next slide, please? Is that we go into the 3 E's quickly. It's about empowering communities, environmental protection, and economic viability. Can we go quickly? And I know this is, I will just want to show to you, since 2011, Sarawak Tourism Board has gone into responsible tourism, but we ramp it up in 2019, and we just finished our very own 2021 Responsible Tourism webinar last month. Next, please. Therefore, in alignment with SDG, we focus on SDG 4, SDG 12, and SDG 17. Next, please. Just to highlight this, I like this project because it's about waste management, composting, and soap making, reaching out to our low-income group, ages 16 to 70, where we were able to reach out to 23 homestays, teaching them how important it is so that they are empowered in making sure they learn how to look into hygiene, how they look into waste management, and making them understand that the recyclable and upscaling and so forth. We managed to reach about 3,177 households in 2020. Next, please. So again, this is really to show to you, we were engaging, telling them why soap making, because they can do it with the cooking oil, the cooking oil, and then turn it into products that they can sell at their homestays. And that is also generating income, and that is making them and empowering them. Next, please. I'm going very fast here. We also use our Sarawak product experience to clean beaches, to do, and not just teach them the important things of cleanliness, the important things of the environment needs to be told to them how important their roles are. Next, please. We also use 2 of our main iconic events, the Rainforest World Music Festival Greening, Rainforest Festival, as well as the Borneo Jazz, to promote our greening and our sustainable activities. I mean, from just the pictures, you can see, next, please. Next, please. You can see that we're here from cleaning the beaches to ensuring that we make sure that even the dustbin can be a fashionable statement, that people are able to clean their and not look garbage in a different manner. We look into waste station and so forth. I like to highlight this. Next, please. I like to highlight one of the things that we are very proud when we did that is that during just that 3 days, yeah, we managed to have about like 404 kg of food and kitchen waste, 60.5 kg of biodegradable tableware, 103.8 kg of waste cooking. Imagine if this was not being looked into, it can just go to the environment and really not helping the environment. Okay, next please. And again, we also teach volunteers how to reuse that plastic bottles and make it into a fashionable design that can be repurposed, you know, to use as chairs, to use as lightings, to use as, you know, use something as decorative items. Next, please. Jejak Digital is one where we are very proud of, because what we do is that we go to the local communities and teach them the importance of digital and how it can help their long houses and how it can help them in promoting their own products. Yeah, so this is an ongoing thing. We have now phase 2 and coming up phase 3. Next, please. I'm very proud to also say that in STB, we do have a responsible tourism pledge. And, you know, if you can see, I like to just read quickly that it is about, I pledge to discover Sarawak responsibly. I will value the authentic aspect of Sarawak's culture and heritage site. I will feed my sense of adventure in the rainforest, but cause no harm. I will seek wonder in the beauty of nature, but stay on the path. I will appreciate Sarawak food and delicacies, but consume responsibly. And I will embrace Sarawak's unique festivals and respect the lives of the locals. And I will come prepared for Sarawak, more to discover. With that, ladies and gentlemen, you can reach me, next please, to and reach us at the Sarawak Tourism Board URL and so online. And I hope to hear from you. I hope that gives you a little bit of glimpse of what Sarawak has to offer to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Sazit, for the insightful presentations and into the Sarawak. So before we go into the discussions, I'm just going to share a little bit of Indonesia conditions. This last week I went to, last week I went to Central Kalimantan, to be specific to the district of Kota Waringin Barat. And I met with the people's representative there, and they asked me how can they boost the tourism, because right now they're also experiencing what Professor Sabrina and Madam Sarjit was telling us. So I'm just going to go very quickly, just looking at the data of the tourist arrival. First, I want to acknowledge the District Tourism Office of Kota Waringin Barat, the Kota Waringin Barat District People's Representative, and to the lecturer at Universitas Pelita Harapan for giving me the data so that I can present here. So in Kalimantan, one of the international tourist destination site is Tanjung Puting National Park. And because it is the world's capital of orangutan, so many international tourists come to see this orangutan in Tanjung Puting, and Tanjung Puting is located in Kota Waringin Barat district. But however, with this pandemic, the results of, based on the our colleagues at Pelita University, the tourism stakeholders, they lost income, they shift to other sectors and also other alternative jobs. And they are currently taking temporary jobs, saying that if tourism comes back, and they will go to engage in tourism again. And so based on this, if we look at the data that of the arrival, we can see that here the international tourist really goes down from the 2019 to 2020. It's like from 14,000 just to 1,000 something. And also for the domestic, in this for the arrival in Tanjung Puting. But if we look at other destinations, it also goes down, but not dropped drastically as the Tanjung Puting National Park. So there are hopes for domestic tourism in this area. So we hope that based on our presenters' previous talks, tourists in Kota Waringin Barat will require creativity and innovations in rebuilding tourism, because shifting to the domestic tourism, and to attract national tourists and urging them to buy local products and visit local destinations, including forcing activity operators to alter their domestic tourists' prices. Because other than rebuilding tourism, this will also build their pride in our culture, nature, and heritage. So this is just to show that I think everywhere in this world that we are talking about the importance of domestic tourism. So in order to do that, I want to ask Professor Sabrina, with regard to your presentation, you've shown that despite the negative impacts of the people's livelihood, COVID-19 has resulted in the emergence of domestic tourism. So do you see the results of your findings, that first-hand experience in educational tourism as a new opportunity in the development of tourism objects in Taiwan?
Yes, just following your presentation, you mentioned the decreasing of the international tourism, right? Because I think this happens to all of us. And for the experiential tourism, not only the coffee tourism, you cannot share my screen, right? Otherwise, I prepare a film. In our university, I'm from International College, our culinary college, they work with the industry. They build the beef tourism factory. Okay, so where you can, when you visit their factory, they will have a short introductory trip to tell you the history of their factory and also how they process beef. Okay, and then they show you how to cook different parts of the beef, and they also, you can buy the beef there and then they cook it for you. You can also buy it home, and also they have the kitchen. You can reserve the time, and it depends on how much you can afford. They can have different, again, like one day culinary courses or only 3 hours. So during this period of time, you can learn how to really cook the beef. So I think a lot of different kinds of these tourists, domestic tourists, they focus on more like experiential. They try to involve you, right? So when you go there, you not just only buy products, you gain some knowledge about this product. And I quite like the STB strategies. So facing the pandemic, I think we focus more on domestic, and then you can have some idea about this. In Taiwan, we have so-called one town, one product. So each town, small town, they can have their signature products. And this also connected to what you just mentioned, like they will like kind of remind you of the culture or the heritage of this small town, and then have some emotional connection with the tourists. So that's what I can share about this other application of the experiential domestic tourism. Yes.
Okay, thank you. In Indonesia, we also have one village, one product.
Huh?
Yes, in Indonesia, we have one village, one product. In your case, it's one town, one product. So
yes,
yeah, it's next time I go to Taiwan, we will have coffee and discuss this more, because I'm a coffee drinker as well.
Yeah, especially after Madame Chardet's introduction, I really want to fly to Sarawak.
Yeah, we can go both there, because I really want Mulu National Park, Madam Sarzit. I've been to Boku National Park, but I haven't been to Mulu. So for you, Madam Sarzit, you've highlighted the number of visitors have increased pre-pandemic time. And however, with the COVID, the visitors arrivals are mainly domestic, with a drastic number of total visitors, as Professor Sabrina was also just saying. So I think because there is a shift of tourist segment, there is a need of the domestic market. So can you just explain to us or give us some enlightenment on the importance of domestic market?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Arzana. Basically, I feel that in everything we do, there needs to be a balance. Yeah, so does tourism, and therefore to put every eggs in just one basket and go into just international. COVID has taught us a very good lesson that, you should not do that. And therefore, to ensure that we can retain the tourism sector, domestic is definite, should be an area where we should focus. And that's an immediate market catchment. In Malaysia, our population is just over 32 million. And imagine that 32 million, if we can harness it and make sure that they want to come to Sarawak, that is very important market. So yes, international market is very important, but we should not take it for granted that and we must also focus on domestic. And I believe Sarawak Tourism Board and the Ministry of Sarawak Tourism, Arts and Culture, our strategy is about focusing on domestic, and then very much also we will focus on the long traditional established market, long haul in Europe. But we cannot and should not forget our domestic market, how important they are for tourism.
Okay, thank you, Madam Serzit. So my last question for both of you, Professor Sabrina and Madam Serzit. Do you think Taiwan and Sarawak needs to rebrand its tourism destinations with this shift of tourism? Professor Sabrina?
I think it's not only at this time. I think it's like an ongoing changing, right? So I think we can check, for the past decades, what's the most attractive scenic spots, or what's the more recent movements of tourists. They what kind of activity they really want to. So I think it's an ongoing one. We can always rebrand it or remarket to change our marketing strategies. Yeah, based on what's, for example, smart tourism, right? Due to nowadays so many new technologies. So how can we integrate this kind of new advancements into our the government levels planning of the marketing strategy?
Thank you.
Well, for me, Dr. Arzina, I believe that responsible tourism or sustainability is going to be a generic thing. It is the trend now. So that is going to be the norm and expected by everyone. So to change or to rebrand, I don't find it is necessary to rebrand Sarawak. But what I would do is to weave the trends in that uniqueness of Sarawak. And the element of that uniqueness of each country will be the branding of the country. And so for Sarawak, CANFF still is relevant, but we weave in the essence of responsible tourism. We weave in the essence of, niche marketing, slow tourism, and experiential tourism. That's how I see it.
Okay, thank you very much. We only have 1 minute left, so I should just wrap up these sessions. There are some questions in the chat rooms for both Professor Sabrina and Madam Serzit. The committee will send it to you, and hopefully you can reply them back through email. So the participants, we just hear that from both of the speakers, we know that domestic tourism is the way forward and responsible tourism is the essence. That's what Madam Serzit just highlighted. And so therefore, we have to have all the stakeholders, the government and the private public, including the local people, to work together to promote this domestic tourism. Because I agree with both speakers that we should not just forget about the negative impacts of COVID. Now it's time to see the positive impacts of COVID. And we know that we can develop our own resources. We develop and educate our own people about what we have so that they can have pride and they know, rather than they go outside their own country and people over there ask, what's in Taiwan, what's in Sarawak, and they cannot answer. But this time, whenever they go overseas, they know to answers. And before going overseas, go to your national areas first, goes to local tourism areas. And I think that is what the domestic tourism is all about. And I think we should take this opportunity to develop as many as possible. And also, hopefully, the government in local governments, district government, provincial government, and national governments can all work together to help the local people develop and so that they can use their own local resources. They know how to develop it. Sometimes they have the resources, but they don't know how to develop them. So we need to facilitate them, and perhaps it will have effect on the budget, state's budget, but I think for the cost of livelihood and for the people, I think it should be very well worth it. So I thank you, Professor Sabrina Wang and Madam Sarzit, for the insightful presentations. And I'm sure all the participants also learn more. And I'm sure they want, after this, probably they will sip a cup of coffee and then thinking that's the Sarawak. And so hopefully I could all meet you in person. And thank you again for all the participants. I will end these sessions. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Leave. Newton.
Yeah, they will have this on recording, so the participants can go back and learn, hear more. Yeah. I think you can leave for other sessions.